Welcome to Mindful with Minaa, where we explore how mindfulness can enhance your relationships and well-being. I'm your host, Minaa B, a licensed social worker, mental health educator, and author. Through insightful discussions, I will guide you towards self-awareness and self-efficacy, empowering you to effectively manage your relationships, reduce burnout, and be more present with yourself. So let's jump into today's episode. Hey, Mindful community, welcome back to another episode. For today, I want to talk to you about signs that you are in a healthy friendship. And that is because episode 7, which is titled Signs That You're in an Emotionally Abusive Friendship, that till this day is my number one most downloaded podcast. And people are always reaching out to me to ask me, how do I know if I am in a healthy relationship? And how do I also use discernment to recognize if this is a relationship that I need to let go of? Or is it a relationship where maybe we can repair the ruptures that took place? And what are the foundational tools that you need to keep a friendship going, especially if there are ruptures? How do you grow with someone? So now that you have a whole episode on signs that you're in an emotionally abusive friendship, and in that episode, I unpack the different negative things and toxic behaviors that you might experience in an unhealthy friendship, I said, you know what, for today's episode, let's talk about healthy friendships. And you can also use discernment to recognize if you exist in a healthy friendship, or you might be able to utilize the takeaways from today's episode to make sure that you are playing an active role in building healthy friendships. So the first thing that I want to unpack is respect and trust. This is the foundation that any healthy relationship is built on. When there is mutual respect, this means that both parties are coming together to acknowledge each other's opinions and feelings, even when there is a disagreement. You respect each other enough to check in with one another. You respect each other enough to honor the needs and the emotions of each other. And most importantly, because there is mutual respect, there is always an assessment taking place to ensure that the friendship is actually healthy. So I respect my friends enough to make sure that I am respecting their boundaries. I'm making sure that I am engaging in active listening when they're telling me their issues or they're just talking to me in general. When it comes to respect in my friendships, I'm making sure I am paying attention to the rules that they're placing on me. And I'm also making sure that I am assessing my friend enough to know the intricacies of who they are, the things they like, the things they do not like, and honoring them as a whole human being. So respect is pivotal in any relationship. If you don't have respect in a friendship, if you don't have respect in a partnership, or even in your familial dynamics, right? Because I'm sure a lot of you can think of times where you are in a scenario with a family member and you feel like you're not being respected. So respect is at the foundation of any relationship. And when you have respect, you can now develop trust with one another. Trust is the cornerstone of a healthy friendship. When there is trust, you feel confident that your friend will keep your secrets. You feel confident that your friend is not outside telling everybody your business. You feel confident that you're going to receive support from your friend when you show up in a particular way. This is why you feel safe enough to show up and share every single messy part of who you are, because there's trust that they are going to carry that particular thing in their hands, and they're going to ensure that whatever it is that you bring to them is protected and it is held sacredly in their heart and in their mind. And so when we have trust, we have the ability to grow with one another, because it's going to be very hard to develop deep bonds and attachments with people if we cannot be vulnerable. And vulnerability gives us the space to develop trust with one another. The more that I share pieces of my life with you, the more trust is developed in that relationship, because how you respond to my secrets and how you respond to my ideologies, how you respond to me and just my stuff in general helps me to use discernment and recognize, are you safe or are you unsafe? And can I trust you with this information? Are you going to go out there and tell my business? Are you going to treat me in a particular way? Are you going to treat me differently if you know certain things about me? And so when there is trust, you can move forward in a relationship that is rooted in safety. And when we have safety, the more that relationship grows. Another sign of a healthy friendship is that there is open and honest communication. In my personal life, I truly, truly value communicating with my friends. A lot of the people in my friendship circle are people that I have known since childhood or early adulthood. So I have my sister friend, and that basically is my best friend who at this point is my family member. I have known her since I was 6 years old. We are both 34 years old. And so we literally have known each other pretty much our whole entire lives. And so I call her my sister friend because at this point she is family. And I can count probably on both hands or even more the amount of times we have had to take a moment to do a check-in with each other, because there have been times where there were ruptures in our relationships. There have been times where I have done something that made her feel a certain way, and there are times where she has done things that made me feel a certain way. And I am so thankful that we both got to a level of maturity in our lives to be able to say, we should talk about what happened. And I'm also going to be honest too, because we've known each other since we were 6 years old. I remember when we were like around 27, 28, we were actually hashing out some of the experiences we had when we were kids, but also some of the experiences that we had when we were like 20, 21. And the reason why this happened is because at 27, 28, I was so much more mature that it allowed me a greater ability to be self-reflective and self-aware of things that I had done that I never talked about and never checked in with her about, and same vice versa, things that she had done that she never checked in with me about. And I am so grateful for the grace that we have given each other, because I know for sure I have asked her and other friends, like, please know that I am so grateful that you put up with immature Mina, because I was not always this grounded person that you're listening to with all this wisdom and knowledge and discernment. I worked to become this person. And I can admit that at 20, 21, and maybe even at 25, there were still things that I wasn't getting right. And to be honest, even now at 34, there are things that I don't get right. And I am so grateful for friends who are willing to call me out on it and sit with me in certain things and say, I'm going to give you a moment to be accountable here, but I need to address this so that you know that you hurt me, so that you know how I'm feeling about a particular situation, and you can never say that you were not informed on how you made me feel. So I am just really grateful for honesty. I am grateful that I have friends who have been able to tell me hard truths in life. I also am grateful that I have friends that I can tell hard truths in life, because truth is the vehicle that leads us toward our evolution. And without honesty in a friendship, you can't grow together. So I personally believe that you are supposed to have honest conversations with your friends if you want your friendship to thrive. Another thing that I'm going to add when it comes to having honest conversations is to always use discernment when people are coming to you with their truths and with their beliefs and the honesty that they're unpacking. Because one of the things that I tend to see happening that causes ruptures in a friendship is when people don't know how to hear the truth. They're not ready to hear the truth. They would rather live in a state of denial. And when their friend is forthcoming and truthful, especially after you told your friend your business, a common narrative that I will see is when people don't realize that because they're not ready to hear the truth, they're now labeling their friend as this malicious person who is envious of them, who's a hater, who's all of these negative things simply because your friend told you the truth about a particular situation that you brought to your friend's attention. So I have had to do a lot of work in my own life that required me to be self-reflective. And as you can see, what I'm getting to here is to build a healthy friendship, you also have to be a healthy person participating in building that healthy friendship. And there have been so many times where I had to check myself because I would feel a way when my friends would come to me with certain things. And then I would be like, you know what, though? I know my friend loves me and I know my friend cares about me. And they're just telling me their perspective about the situation that I brought them into. So instead of me being angry and instead of me having these negative perceptions about my friend, maybe I need to be self-reflective here and ask myself, why is it so hard to hear this thing, especially when it's coming from this person? This is somebody that I love, that I care about. They're not a stranger. So is it possible that what they're saying is worth listening to and worth unpacking and processing? Because if a stranger or someone that I don't know too well comes to me to tell me a particular thing, honestly, it may not hold that much weight because it's like, I don't even have an intimate relationship with you. So maybe whatever thoughts you have of me or of my situation, you should just mind your business. But when it comes to my friends, I'm like, I let y'all in my business all the time. And so thank you for your honesty. Also understand that I am an adult and so I'm going to do what I want to do, but still thank you for your honesty and thank you for being willing to communicate with me and let me know how you feel because you are on this journey with me. You are not a bystander in my life. You are an active member of my life. And so thank you for being forthcoming. Thank you for telling me your truth. And we shall see where this brings us because maybe I'm not ready to hear it. Maybe I'm not ready to apply your guidance and feedback to my life, but I still honor and appreciate that you were forthcoming and willing to be honest with me. Now, another thing that I think is important when it comes to building a healthy friendship is knowing that you have friends that are supportive. There is nothing worse than being in a friendship with someone who never celebrates you. There is no encouragement. It's like, why are you here? It's like one of those things where it's like, if I can't tell you anything, and even when I do tell you things, you always have an attitude and you always got something going on, then what is this relationship founded on? So having support is so important in a relationship. As people, we are wired for connection, and a big part of connection is being invested in and knowing that there are people in your life who care about you, who care about your well-being, and want to see you flourish and grow. From the time we are born, we are looking to our parents to invest in us to help us build our self-esteem and build our self-confidence. Once you become an adult, you have to play an active role in building yourself up, but that never means that you don't want connections and support systems around you that also plays a role in building you up. So I truly believe support is a big part of a healthy friendship. Knowing that my friends are going to celebrate me, knowing that my friends are encouraging and they want me to be my best self, they're going to motivate me to reach my goals, and they're genuinely happy for me. So when it comes to a healthy friendship, you want to ask yourself, do I have a supportive network? But you also need to be asking yourself, am I a supportive friend? So again, remember that everything that I say about a friendship, when it comes to what you should be receiving, remember that you are also supposed to be giving these things. The next thing that I want to share is the ability to grow together. When you are in a healthy friendship, each friend supports and encourages the other's personal growth and development. Your friends should not want to still see you act the way you were acting when you were on the playground in elementary school. A friendship grows because you have people in your life who are not just supporting your accolades, they're supporting your growth, and they want to see you become a better version of yourself day by day. They contribute to you becoming a better version of yourself by being an active listener, by giving you constructive feedback, by listening, by being supportive and showing up for you when you're at your worst, even showing up for you when you're at your best. So when it comes to evolving as a person, you also want to be in a friendship with somebody who actually wants to see you flourish and meet the goals that you set for yourself. There's nothing worse than having goals to be a better person and having goals in life that you're trying to achieve. And you have a friend who's like, I really hope you don't get that job promotion. I really hope you don't get that relationship you're striving for. Nobody wants to be around that. In a healthy friendship, you have people cheering you on and you have that person who is supporting you evolving as an individual, even when it no longer benefits them. They're happy to see you becoming a better person because that is what you want for yourself. Another thing about growing together is flexibility. This is so important. In any relationship, you have to have the ability to compromise and be flexible. When this happens, both friends understand that people change and are willing to adapt the friendship accordingly. As I shared earlier, I have a lot of friends in my life who I have known since I was a child. And so we are all adults now, but we are all different types of people who are doing different things. I'm not married, but I have friends who are married. I don't have children. I have friends who have kids. I am an entrepreneur. I have friends who work 9 to 5 jobs. We are all in different spaces. And in the midst of getting to where we are now, there have been times where my friends couldn't show up for me the way I wanted them to because they just gave birth. If it wasn't that, it was because they just got a job promotion that required more time and energy of them. It's the same vice versa. When I quit my job to become an entrepreneur, my time shifted. The work that I do now requires so much of me that even though I work for myself, my friends understand how demanding my work is. And therefore, there have been times where I've had to shut the world out and say, y'all, I'm in the middle of writing my book right now. Don't ask me to hang out with you for brunch. I'm not going. Also, my phone is going to be on Do Not Disturb for probably the next 6 months. And so please also don't take offense at the fact that I'm not going to be responsive. I'm not going to be answering phone calls. I'm probably going to be really, really slow to responding to your text messages because I have this deadline and I also have this thing that is super important to me. Can you honor that? And their ability to honor that is why we're still friends to this day. My ability to honor the fact that my friends have children, and there are times where when we're on the phone and I'm struggling and I'm crying, I'm going to hear babies in the background. The kids are going to take the phone away from my best friend to be like, hey, Tia, what you doing? Meanwhile, tears are all over my face because kids don't be caring. While I'm doing all of that, I recognize that this is just where my friend is. This is the space that we're in. My friends have kids. My friends have a life. My friends have a life outside of the friendship. My friends have a life and needs outside of my own needs. So what does it look like for me to be flexible and compromise? And this is also why it is so important for us to have a spectrum of friendships. Because too often our friendships experience burnout because you keep going to the same person to meet all of your needs, and they're not in a space in their life where they have the capacity or the flexibility to pour into you the way you're asking to be poured into. So the more you keep going to that one person to say, I need this and I need this thing. I also need this thing and I need you to do this thing and you got to do it by this date. And now I'm struggling and I need this and I need that. At some point, you're going to dry that person of their resources. This is why I believe it is so important for us to have community. To have a community of people in our life who can pour into us in different ways. This is also why I believe in having a spectrum of services in our life and having a circle of support that I talked about in episode 1, where I break down your circle of intimacy, your circle of friendship, your circle of participation, but also your circle of exchange. Because also in a healthy friendship, you have to honor the capacity of your friends. You also have to honor their abilities and what they can give you. So there are times where I'm struggling and I realize, you know what? Yes, I want to talk to my friend and I want to share the different things that are happening for me. But right now I am going through something so heavy and difficult. This is when I call my therapist. So I can use discernment to recognize I can tell my friend about this issue, but if I know I need some level of feedback and I know I need a type of care and support, I'm going to go to my therapist about it. Both people are going to know my business, but there's a different expectation for both people. I'm paying my therapist, so I'm expecting you to show up a certain way. But my friend, because you are my friend, I'm expecting something of you, but I'm also honoring the flexibility in our relationship and recognizing right now you just can't give this to me. The next thing that I want to share that shows that you are in a healthy relationship with your friends is when you can talk about the messy stuff. You can say, girl, I'm going to be honest. I was feeling a little envious when you told me you got that job position. I'm going to be honest and say I was having some difficult emotions when you announced that you're pregnant. Now, I am going to say that there tends to have to be a reason for why you are disclosing this information, because sometimes we are dealing with difficult emotions that is impacting the friendship, and we don't realize that we're disclosing this thing to the person, but it's like, are you expecting that person to do the emotional labor? Or are you disclosing this thing to the friend to let them know, I want to be honest about where I am, but I also want you to be aware of the changes that I am making. And I just want to invite you into my own process and where I currently am in my healing journey. Because here's the thing, we are human beings. We're not perfect people. There are going to be times where our friends and the people around us in the world are doing things that will induce a feeling of envy, jealousy, something that feels really heavy and negative. And we have to be willing to do the work to own that that emotion exists. There are going to be times where we might realize we have to talk about it because there's an elephant in the room. But you also just want to make sure that if you want a healthy relationship, you are being introspective enough to say, I realize though, despite me feeling this and despite your life changing and evolving and shifting, I have work to do. This just shows me that I have work to do, and I'm inviting you into that process so that you don't feel blindsided by changes I may end up making, but also so that you can be aware of where I am emotionally in our friendship and not walk around feeling guilty or feeling bad or assuming that you did something wrong. Just know that I am having a particular emotional reaction to a shift and change in our friendship, and this is what I am doing to work through that. I think that that is a very, very healthy approach to managing different conflicts that can come up in a relationship, because as you watch your friend grow, it's going to bring up emotions for you. And the healthy thing to do is to deal with those emotions, not to expect your friend to deal with it, but for you to be introspective enough to say, wow, I didn't realize that this change in your life was going to bring this feeling up for me. And even though it's hard to process and it's hard to manage, this situation is illuminating to me where I am on my growth journey and what I need right now. So, when it comes to a healthy friendship, you will always know if you are existing in something that is beneficial for your well being, because your nervous system is always going to alert you when somebody brings you peace. Your nervous system might put you in a state of hyperarousal, which is when you are in a sense of fight or flight because your body is overstimulated and overactivated. Or your body might shut down into a state of hypoarousal where you're feeling chronic fatigue, depression, and this is when you're in the freeze or fawning zone. A healthy friendship helps you to exist in your window of tolerance. When I'm around you, I have the ability to manage my emotions. When I'm around you, I have the ability to articulate my emotions. When I'm around you, I have the ability to think clearly. I can problem solve. I can manage my impulses. I feel whole, and I can also tap into some of my coping mechanisms to deal with whatever ruptures might come up in this friendship. But if you make me feel unsafe, my body might shut down because I'm concerned that if I react a certain way, you might become aggressive, you might become passive aggressive, you might become this thing that feels scary to me. And I am very grateful in my own life that I have a plethora of people that allow me to exist within my window of tolerance. In a healthy friendship, You are always flourishing in your window of tolerance, and that is what I wish for you today. I wish you safe, healthy, loving, and nurturing relationships. Remember that no friendship is perfect. Friendships thrive because you are contributing to the growth and development of a friendship. So if you're seeking a healthy friendship, make sure the same way you are asking of people, you are also giving to people. Friendships thrive when there is reciprocity, trust, and safety. So, the same way you want those things given to you, make sure you're also giving it to others. That's all for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you just listened to, please take a moment to rate and review this podcast on your preferred platform. Also, don't forget to share it with a friend and on social media. To stay connected with me and my work, follow me on social media and subscribe to the Mindful with Mina newsletter, which can be found on my website, www.minab.com. You can also continue learning from me by ordering my book, Owning Our Struggles, which is available at all major book retailers. Stay tuned for a new episode next week, and most importantly, remember to be present and stay mindful. Take care and goodbye for now.